All right, we made it. We are in the quarterfinals at Roland Garros 2024, and shocker, Novak Djokovic just pulled off another incredible comeback. This time, the victim is Francisco Cerundolo. So we're going to talk about that match, his potential knee injury from it, and what that means for the rest of the tournament with his time on court. We're going to look at the time on court for all the players remaining on the men's side and look at the chances they have in their matches. Demon Hour came through today over Medvedev. Zverev beat Runa, and Casper Ruud took care of business over Claylor Fritz. So let's get into it. This is the Slice men's and women's quarterfinals preview and predictions coming up. Okay, how you doing? Are you fatigued? I'm actually sick right now. I'm sick as a dog. Some would say I've got that dog in me. You know who's also got that dog in them? Novak Djokovic. I mean, what a performance coming back against Cerundolo. Obviously, in the third round, he beat Usetti. So he's out here just breaking hearts. You know, he first takes your legs, then your soul, or soul, then your legs. And it's just incredible. So we're going to talk about Djokovic. First, though, if you have not yet, please subscribe. It helps out the channel. We're on the way to 20,000. We just passed 18,000. And you can help me get there. So I appreciate it. Big news. No big news. I don't know why sometimes I just say that. You know, you get hyped up. You just like want to have something exciting to talk about. There is lots of exciting things to talk about. And that is these quarterfinals. So the quarterfinals have now been set top and bottom, and we're going to go look at the matchups here. So right off the top, we've got Djokovic versus Ruud and Zverev versus Demon Hour. Demon Hour takes out Medvedev. Not super shocking. I don't think anyone here, all these very intelligent and well-read tennis fans, I don't think anyone's really that shocked with that. And then we got Stefanos Tsitsipas versus Carlitos Alcaraz and Dimitrov versus Sinner. Dimitrov beats Hurkacz, which had a hilarious moment in it we'll talk about. But yeah, I think these are really quality matchups. These are guys who have been playing good all year, who have had, literally every single guy's had a good year. I mean, except for Djokovic by his standards. But obviously, these are the best clay court players around right now, and they're all in the quarterfinals of the French Open. And I think it's going to be all very, very interesting matchups. So let's just talk about what happened today first. So Djokovic, this is what happened today. He came back again versus a younger guy, Francisco Cerundolo. This time in the second set, he slips and hurts his knee. He said he had a nagging knee discomfort for weeks before this, and it hadn't been bothering him on court. But then he said, as he slipped and he fell a few times today, that started bothering him, and he had to take painkilling medication. And once that kicked in, basically he was able to turn it around. So lost the second set, lost the third set, won the fourth set. That was a tight one. And then the fifth set, I mean, he was up a break and then lost the break, and then got up a break again. But I mean, that match was super interesting for a couple of reasons. The concept of him playing his way into the tournament. That's what I said at the beginning. Like, I believe he can win this tournament. He was my pick because at the major, he's got the time to play himself into the tournament. But there's two sides to that coin. He's been playing a lot. And we're going to show the full time on court stats for all 8 players remaining on the men's side. Take your guess now as to who's leading and who's had the least amount of time on court. But Djokovic's level today against, aside from him being physically hampered and kind of off balance because of his knee, slow because of his knee, not running all the balls because of his knee, when he wasn't being hampered as much, he looked like he was hitting the ball pretty good. His backhand especially, I thought he was just crushing it as good as he can hit it and really dominating Cerundolo cross court to cross court there. And then he'd rip it up the line. Cerundolo has a little bit bigger of a forehand than Djokovic does, and Cerundolo played a great match. I thought a bit of a choke, not a choke job, but like definitely got, felt the moment there in trying to close out that match in the fourth set as he was up a break in the fourth set, I believe. And then in the fifth set, just didn't find the stuff that he found earlier in the match. But how can you? The guy across the net is changing forms. Djokovic is, this has happened to him many, many times. He's like injured during a match, and then he's like not injured during a match. And that's got to just be hard to play against, because you're like, because when a guy's injured, you like start thinking about that. You're not really just focused on yourself. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait, he's playing good now. And now I got to lift my game, and there's pressure, and it's weird. So Cerundolo did not really handle the moment perfectly, but that was a match where I thought it could be tough, and it was tough, but I did expect Djokovic to get through, and he did. And he's the better for it, obviously. You got to get through. But now the issue, now the question is, in the press, he says, I'm not sure if I'm going to play. He's going to play. I mean, unless his knee gets way worse and whatever. But if you can finish a match off like that and play the way he did at the end, you should be able to play in 2 days. But you never know. But really, he said that type of thing before, and I wouldn't put any water in that bucket at all. So he's going to play. But that match was like 4.5 hours. And the one against Musetti was also like 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours. So that's a lot of time on court for Djokovic. And you know what? Let's just get to it now. Here is the time on court for the tournament so far. You can see that Djokovic here, I don't know, I have to point to you. You guys can see it. 13 hours, 43 minutes. The only person with more time on court than him is Zverev, 13 hours and 53 minutes. He also had a big match today against Runa. So I said in a tweet, it wouldn't surprise me if the person who comes out of the top half of the draw is in a wheelchair, because combined, they have a lot more time on court than the guys in the bottom half. 3 of the guys in the bottom half don't even have over 10 hours, and one of them's Dimitrov is barely over 10 hours. There's, the average on the top half is much higher than the bottom half. So that, to me, is interesting and poses the question. Djokovic, I saw Jeff Sackman, who runs Tennis Abstract, post that Djokovic has had a much higher time on court than any major champion ever, by like 3 hours after the first 4 rounds. So that's something to think about. Did he win these battles but lose the overall war because of how much time he spent on court, damage he did to his body, and how's his knee going to hold up? It's not like it's getting any easier. It's getting harder. He's going to play Ruud next. Sorry, Kasper Ruud, who's been on court for 12 hours. So an hour and 20 minutes less, 12 hours and 20 minutes. And he's a much younger guy. And he just beat him earlier in the year. So it's like, that's a guy who can play physical. He's probably more physical than Musetti or Cerundolo. And he's got confidence against Djokovic. And so that's going to be super, super interesting. Djokovic fans, I know you're a hater of the slice. Let me know your thoughts down below on his physical preparation going into the quarterfinals. Is he going to be able to find another reserve of energy like he so often has? Zverev takes out Runa in what I would call like a deflated match. It was the night session today. It was slow. It was heavy. It was a grind. It was, both guys got nervous, didn't play great in different moments. It was pretty high quality tennis, but it was just like felt slow and like not a lot of, not a lot of variety compared to other matches. But that's what those two guys do. They can grind, they can bang, they can do it from the baseline for a long time. And Runa, I'm like, he's had obviously, last year or 2022 really was his huge entrance onto the scene. Last year he got even a little bit better, but had some ups and downs. And then I feel like he's kind of plateaued right now. He's not really going in the same stream anymore with Sinner and Alcaraz. He's kind of plateaued like other guys, like a few other guys, like Tiafoe, like Felix, like Taylor Fritz. Like there's a lot of guys, and it gets harder to keep going the higher you go. So it's not a knock on him. I don't feel like he made any strides forward at this tournament, but Zverev also was the favorite. And at the same time, Zverev didn't look like the favorite to win the tournament or a serious contender to win the tournament at many times during this match. It was a bit of a weird one, in my opinion. De Minaur takes out Daniil Medvedev. He played a great match after dropping the first set. Daniil Medvedev was getting Band-Aids put on what looked like a callus or a blister on his foot. So maybe he was a little bit hampered, but De Minaur just looks like he's meant for this, right? Like the slower clay just moves so good, unbelievably chasing down Medvedev's ball and just, playing great from the forehand and backhand. So, he's had a great year and he will be a serious, I'm just looking at the year-to-date stats. Race to turn. Like De Minaur is going to be a serious challenge to Zverev, and it would not shock me if De Minaur beats Zverev. But if you look at the race to Turin, De Minaur is 7th in the race, only behind Alcaraz, Tsitsipas, Ruud, Medvedev, Zverev, Sinner. So all guys except for Medvedev who are still in this tournament. So that's why it's such a deadly quarterfinal, run we got here. Casper Ruud, solid win today against Taylor Fritz, just better than him on the clays, just straight up. And yeah, again, going back to our sheet here, not super long on court. I mean, longer than the guys on the bottom, but if anyone can handle this or is built for it, you think it's Casper Ruud. So he's going to be gearing up to play Djokovic. But I did see this on Twitter. I think this was a press conference from like after his match against Fritz, where he was obviously told that he was going to be playing Djokovic. And then somehow in the line of questioning there, he gets going and talking about how he thinks Djokovic, and I didn't watch the full clip to be honest, but I saw like the text as he was talking, and he's like, you could argue that he's the second best clay court player of all time, like above Bjorn Borg. And I'm not even going to touch on that argument. It doesn't matter. My point is, if you're about to play a guy in the next round, in my head, you should not be heaping praise on him about how amazing he is on this on the surface that you're about to play him on. Like, I like Carlos Alcaraz's approach, where we'll get to, where he talks in a way that gives himself confidence going into the thing. And like I know tennis is very not like this. It's not the UFC. It's not boxing where you hype yourself up, and I'm glad for that. But I would, if I were players, maybe this wouldn't get me brownie points in the locker room, but I'd be like, you know what? Djokovic is a great player. Obviously, we know what he brings, but I'm a great player too. I beat him in Monte Carlo, and I'm ready for the match. I like my chances. Like, saying something like that isn't cocky, or shouldn't be seen as cocky, and I think will help your confidence if you're Casper Ruud. I mean, I did ask him in person about Nadal jumping around in front of him, and if that bothered me. He told me no. I call a bit of cap on that, because there's all these little mental things. You can't overhype those enough. So anyways, the top half is absolutely stacked. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. Djokovic, Ruud, Zverev, De Minaur, battles. Absolute battles. Okay. Oh, yeah. I forgot predictions. Okay. Prediction is I'm picking Casper Ruud to take out Djokovic in the quarterfinals here. I think it's his time to do something at a major that's like shocking, and beating Djokovic would be slightly shocking, but also slightly not, because Djokovic has probably playing the worst year of his career since like 2006. And if any time is the time to do it, it's now. So I'm picking Casper Ruud over Djokovic in 4 sets. Djokovic probably will be hampered by his knee. Ruud's going to eat it up, I think. That's it. That's a prediction. Zverev versus De Minaur, I'm leaning Zverev. I don't know why, but he's going to find something with his serve. He's going to play better, but it wouldn't surprise me if he choked it away. Okay, Tsitsipas, Carlitos. This is where Carlitos, I love it. I love it. He says you go watch the clip. You can see Alcaraz, so I think on court he said something about, I got the script to play Tsitsipas, and maybe he was asked about that, because that, he is English as a second language, very tough for him. So things come out not the way they were meant to be said. So he said, "Oh, what I meant by I have the script to him is that I played him like," and this sounds so cocky, and I love it. He's like, "Oh, what by having the script, I meant I played him 5 or 6 times, and I've won every match. He's never beat me." So, but he's kind of smiling, but he's like trying to say it, but it sounds really cocky, but it's like, it's not meant to be, I don't think, at all. So he's like, yeah, he's never beat me when, and then he goes on to say, he's like, I know the strategy to play against that I need to play against him. I'm not going to tell you guys right now, but I know how to do it. And it's just like, okay, that's a guy who's talking like he has confidence to win, and he should. A lot of people are saying in the comments, oh, don't jinx yourself. Don't jinx yourself. I don't think he's worried about that. Every tennis player is thinking that if they're up in there's no way Djokovic is going into a match against Monfils, who he's like 10,000 to 0 in matches, and not thinking, I would have to get hit by a bolt of lightning to lose to this guy. I think people are allowed to do 2 things in their head at one time. Like, they have to be like arrogantly, like, I'm better than my opponent, no matter who it is. And then all at the same time have like massive respect for their opponent, which they say the respect part out loud, but they keep that inner, I got that dog in me inside. And Djokovic lets it out a lot too, which I respect. So anyways, Alcaraz, Tsitsipas is going to be interesting. If we put back up our court time, both have not been on court for very long, under 10 hours. Tsitsipas even slightly less, but that's an asterisk. He has played 2 doubles matches with Petros. I'm like, why are you doing that? But I don't really add that into there because I'm sure he's not doing a full practice on those days. So that's basically like his practice. So if you just count it like that, doubles is not that hard compared to singles. Sorry, doubles players. And time on court only counts for singles matches. Okay. Prediction, Alcaraz. Alcaraz in 4, but I don't think this is as sure of a thing as these matchups have been in the past. I think Alcaraz is not at his peak confidence, and I think Tsitsipas is as close to his peak confidence as he's been in like 2 years. So I'm circling that one. Tsitsipas, Alcaraz, that is going to be big time. Dimitrov Sinner. Her catch, okay, one of the funniest moments of the tournament, probably the funniest moment of the tournament. He just goes like, her catch is like the most awkward guy. Like, talk about ESL, like he's just like so funny. He's going to his box. He's like no one knows what he's meaning. And then he goes over and asks Dimitrov if he's like, hey, should we switch out this umpire? And Dimitrov's like, what? He's like, should we make a change to the umpire? No one knows what he's talking about because you can't just like switch umpires because you don't like them. Like I'm sure Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, all these players would have done that a billion times already if they could have. So that was just hilarious. Like Hubie Hurkacz, the nicest guy on tour, doing that. I love it. I love to see it. A little bit of sass from Hubie Hurkacz as he was getting thumped by Grigor Dimitrov. So that's an interesting matchup, right? Dimitrov, super experienced, makes the second week of the French Open for the first time. He's been playing great tennis in 2024, right? Like he is right there. He's number 9 in the race. It could be tough, but Sinner, he did drop the first set against Moutet, like kind of shockingly, didn't play great. But if anyone can mix it up and get Sinner way out of his comfort zone on clay, it might be Grigor Dimitrov. So we're going to see how he does, and I'm excited for that matchup as well. I'm taking Sinner in that one. So I'm taking Sinner, Alcaraz, Zverev, and Ruud. Those are my predictions. Roast me if you want. I'm here for it. You can't hurt me. Okay, quarterfinals for the women. Swiatek, double bagels, Potapova. I mean, who hurt you, Iga? Really? You got a double bagel, Potapova. Crazy. 6-0, 6-0. She'll play Vondrousova, who came through Danilovic. We already talked about that. 6-4, 6-2. We already talked about these last night. Coco Gauff, Ons Jabeur, amazing matchup in the quarterfinals. Now, on the bottom half, Paolini and Rybakina will be playing in the quarterfinals there. Rybakina comes through Svitolina. Paolini, who took out Bianca Andreescu, is through to the quarterfinals. And then Mira Andreeva versus Sabalenka. This is crazy because Sabalenka is 9 years older than Mira Andreeva. 17-year-old Mira Andreeva, unseeded player, making it to the quarterfinals. That's just big time. That is just big time. If we click on her, both don't have flags. Both are from the banned countries, but they are big-time players, and we'll see. Andreeva, does she have a puncher's chance against Sabalenka? We know the pressure will all be on Sabalenka, and she won't love that. Sometimes she gets a bit tight. I will say that. So those are my quarterfinal previews. Oh, didn't make any predictions for the women yet. Sabalenka in 2 sets over Andreeva. Rybakina over Paolini is my prediction. I'm going Coco Gauff over Ons Jabeur. I'm sorry. I'm just not really a believer in Ons Jabeur anymore. She's hurt me too many times. And then I'm taking Swiatek over Vondrousova. Like you'd have to be on something to really go against Swiatek after what Naomi Osaka did to her. She like seemed to access a part of her brain which went, I'm going beast mode again. And she's literally just obliterated everyone else other than Osaka in this tournament. So anyways, there you have it. A quarterfinal preview and prediction from the slice. That is the slice. Now you have the slice and you must distribute the slice. So thanks for liking, commenting, joining the community, subscribing to the channel. It helps us out. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time here on the show.